All right. Good evening, everyone. You are powerfully welcome to TDC at 10. This is our 7th week. It's been a wonderful time. Okay, I hope I'm audible. Please, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can. Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is our week 7. We've been having a wonderful time. It's our season of celebration in TDC. TDC is Thriving Enterprise Development Center. It's a business entrepreneurial training school. We've been around, it was established in 2015, and this is our 10th year. And a lot has happened for those of us who are joining in for the first time. Those who have been with us since the inception of this particular training, I know that you are quite aware of what TDC stands for. But I want to believe that we have some people who are joining us for the first time. So just for you to know that TDC is a training hub established to empower both entrepreneurs and their enterprise. And a lot has been done in these 10 years. We have our flagship program called the Enterprise. Sorry. We call it Tedc, which is our signature program. And I know that a lot of people who are on this call have gone through our Tedc program. We have Tedc 1 and we have Tedc 2. And we have other training interventions that we have run over time. We've had industry training that was specifically tailor-made to suit specific entrepreneurs in certain industry. And we've had one-day trainings, 3-day trainings, so many training interventions in the past that is directed at invigorating our entrepreneurs to be able to take their enterprises to the next level. And so in the spirit of celebration, we've had, I think this is the 7th one, and just a quick catch up for those of us who are joining for the first time. I will take us through topics that we've had. And so in week 1, we talked about how to move from hustle to enterprise. That was the first thing, and it was quite interesting. All of these recordings are available on YouTube. Week 2, we talked about money moves that matters. Week 3, we talked about branding and marketing. Week 4, we talked about the confident CEO. Week 5, we talked about legal matters in all of its ramification and how it affects, the entrepreneur and, how to run an enterprise. Week 6, we talk about sisterhood that sells. And today is going to be a very interesting one. I'm very much excited and looking forward to today because I know that everything is going to add up and it will become a holistic knowledge for you as an entrepreneur. But before I bring up our speaker for today, and before I read his profile, I'm going to give opportunity to, so it's going to be the fastest finger now, 2 entrepreneurs who will do a quick 2-minute advert as regards their business, all right? So I'm looking at the chat room now. You can kindly indicate if you are interested in advertising your business, you have 2 minutes. This platform is a combination of a lot of stakeholders. So funders are here, people who are looking for partners are here. And so I'm going to give opportunity to 2 entrepreneurs to actually express their interest if you want to advertise your business. So the chat room is open. I know our people are just joining in. So participants, do we have anybody? You want to advertise your business in 2 minutes? Going. So I think our people are just settling in. So let me give us few minutes. I want to talk about my business in 2 minutes. Do we have anybody indicating interest? This is a great opportunity that you have. Okay. Some people are in places where they really can't speak. GM, am I seeing your hand? You're not permitted though. Am I seeing your hand? Oh, okay. All right. So I have Madam Adebola Ajayi. Please, you have the floor. Kindly go ahead, ma. You have 2 minutes.
All right, thank you. My name is Adebola Ajayi, and I'm the lead designer at Bubbles Accessories. We make premium handmade jewelry, offering services to people who love bears, people who would like to gift items to their friends and loved ones. We offer jewelry gift services, and we offer training as well. So if you have an upcoming event, or you have someone you like to gift something functional and premium, please feel free to buzz me. I'm on Instagram, Bubbles Bespoke, Bubbles Bespoke. That's Burbles, Bespoke, Bespoke. And then you can send me a DM as well from this chat. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Well done, Bubbles. And so you have right there, you are still thinking of what can I give out as gift? How can I empower myself to know more about jewelry? And jewelry is no longer beads, it is all encompassing, crafting and all of that. Please reach out to Bubbles. Awesome, thank you. Who else? Going. Do we have another entrepreneur, a bold entrepreneur who wants to market in 2 minutes? So probably the funding that you're looking for. All right, Madam Olubukola Ogundoyin, please, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
My name is
afternoon.
Olubukola Ogundoyin. So I have my brand name is Embod Ventures. So I deal with lubricants, spare parts, motor spare parts, all the spare parts for Okada, Marua, and all stuff like that, even batteries. So those are things that I sell. And then for services, I deal with all the people that maybe like the individuals, and then we help them to note and to remind them when their vehicles need to be serviced for the next service times. So we put this on the reminder for them and contact them. So anytime they are just coming in, just tell them, okay, this is how often that we service your vehicles, what they inform us, and then we tell them, this is the next time you're going to need to service your vehicles. And then also for the vehicles, batteries, and all that. So those are the things that I deal with. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Awesome. I celebrate you, ma. That's an area where you hardly get the female gender. And so that's why I'm celebrating you. And so for those of us who are particular about integrity, you're particular about, a lot of us female always feel that, oh, you're going to be cheated when you take your car to the mechanic. Now you have someone who truly understands you and understands the functioning of the car. Well done. So I'm not sure you talked about how can you be rich, man? How can people access you? Okay, so please, can you put in the chat room the two people who have talked about their business? Please kindly go ahead. You can put your handles, your address, your telephone number so that people can reach out to you. All right, today we want to talk about a very interesting area that is not only peculiar to entrepreneurs alone, even in large corporates. A lot is said around emotional intelligence. And we have someone who is not really a visitor, as it were, because he's been with us at the Thriving Enterprise Development Center during our president's inaugural lecture. And so today, I am happy, I'm excited, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Lemi Omoyimi. He is the lead facilitator of Lemuel OBA and Associates. He has distinguished himself as one of the renowned motivational and entrepreneurship speakers in the country today and has conducted several workshops, seminars on broad managerial and social topics for some of the country's biggest corporate names locally and internationally. A faculty member of Financial Institution Training Center, FITC, his wealth of experience has enabled him design lectures that dare conventional thinking and challenge individuals, organizations to reevaluate their ways of doing things for the better. He had a long banking career with Barclays Bank, now Union Bank, once a lecturer at Lagos State University Business School, an international consultant to International Trade Center, ITC, the development partner for export success, is the Joint Technical Cooperation Agency, World Trade Organization, and United Nations. So ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, let's hit the ground running with the business of today. Can we all go to our chat room and powerfully welcome Dr. Lemi Omoyimi as he takes over to talk about emotional intelligence this evening. Let's welcome him.
Good
Over
evening.
to you, Doctor. Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much. I feel highly privileged to be here with you today. With that kind of introduction that you have made of me, I pray that I will be able to live up to your expectation. But for me, it's always a delight to say one or two things about emotional intelligence. It's an area that is always expanding and is becoming so topical all over the world as it is. And I see it as a primary requirement for authentic leadership. Can I share my slide? So it's a privilege for me to join you once more. I truly enjoyed the last time I had the privilege of being with TEDC, and I do hope that this will also be a fantastic experience for all of us. Thank you very much. The topic assigned to me is emotional intelligence for business growth, leading with clarity, confidence, and connection. And I think the theme of the training has been "She Means Business." When I saw this, "She Means Business," I looked at the meaning of the word thriving, enterprise, and also development. When we say something is thriving, I tried to get a feel of what it connotes. And I said to myself, indeed, if many of us can really understand the depth of the word thriving, then perhaps many of those other channels that dissipate our energy can be avoided. Thriving connotes an area that has been of interest to me in recent times. When we say something is thriving, it implies flourishing, something that is flourishing. And I got excited when I saw that today. I said, yes, indeed, because human flourishing has been so primary on in my thinking realm in recent times. And I felt that if business owners can actually make the objective of their business or their intention to facilitate human thriving, then most of the kind of choices that sometimes might derail us from the very purpose for which the business is set up can be avoided. So I'm excited that this organization has picked that very word, thriving. And also I looked at enterprise. I excited me because enterprise, I think it's from the French word entreprendre, which means to undertake. So when we decide to undertake an activity, the question is, what is our motive for undertaking that activity? I have suggested, if we can, resonate with my line of thinking, I'm suggesting let's pick flourishing. And then enterprise, implying that we are getting involved and getting engaged to undertake a mission, undertake an objective, undertake that endeavor to become a solution provider. And then the other word, development. Development also very, very interesting because I have observed that many times when we say growth, like my topic says, for business growth, I have come to understand that we have a lot of manifestation of growth that is not really inclined to development. We can have growth without development. Maybe as we go on, I will elaborate more on that. So, Shimi, can you see my slides, please? Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But it can be on slide mode.
Slide mode. Maybe slideshow.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so very much. Today, by this topic, we are not just going to define emotional intelligence, because I feel that so many people have gone through different sessions on emotional intelligence. So I feel that we are going to attempt to unlock it as a practical tool for leadership, for tangible business growth. We will explore a powerful framework of clarity, confidence, and connection to make these skills actionable in our daily work. And I love the topic because it highlighted this clarity, confidence, and then connection, which I would like to call the triad of leadership. Okay. So modern leadership challenges that we see these days include one, a VUCA world. I believe we know the meaning of the acronym VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. The world today is characterized by these four elements, and is the result of the fact that things are happening at a very high accelerating pace. Changes are occurring. Before we are even getting accustomed to the manifestation of a particular change, we discover that new ones are already emerging. Excuse me a moment. I'm trying to understand. Okay. Also, what we have observed as a major challenge of our time is the performance paradox. Why, the question is, why do technically competent people, why do they sometimes fail as leaders? And then the answer actually lies not just in what we do. The answer lies in how we do what we do. Sometimes we don't even know why we do what we do. And if we do not know why we do what we do, then we may not know exactly how we should do it. So this has become a kind of challenge, a challenge of leadership in the 21st century. So for today, the agenda that I want to address in my presentation will be the what and why, trying to define emotional quotient as a measure of emotional intelligence, and then we try to explore its business impact. And I will also leverage on the core framework that your topic has provided, leading with clarity, confidence, and connection. And then we'll try and see a kind of emotional quotient toolkit so that we can develop some practical skills for self-awareness and management, and then connecting with others, which involves mastering social awareness and relationship, and then the kind of action and the application for each and every one of us so that we can create our own personal EQ development plan. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive, understand, manage, and utilize emotions effectively in ourselves and then in others. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. These are called the 4 pillars of emotional intelligence. And as you can see, in the 4 quadrants of emotional intelligence, we have developing emotional knowledge and then also pursuing emotional regulation, which implies that for the left side, regulation and identification, and then understanding who we are, and then how we can regulate our emotion based on our understanding of who we are, and then how do we express it, and also how do we regulate it in social interactions. So we can think of this as a journey that starts with understanding yourself before you can effectively manage others. Understanding yourself before you can effectively manage others. The starting point for this that I would like to use is to propose what I call the individual becoming an integrated personality. That's what I mean by IPS, to attain the integrated personality status. It's almost something that we have been hearing again and again and emphasized here and there. That's oldest philosophical injunction to man, which is man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. Man, know thyself. Then man know how to manage the oneself, so that a man can actually achieve what I refer to as self-attunement, ensuring that all forms of wounds that are not actually enabling a kind of harmony and peace in the individual are addressed. And most of the time, more than 95% of such wounds are emotional in nature. So when we begin to understand who we are, when we begin to grasp the totality of our personality, then we will begin to identify how we can bring about a kind of harmony in this regard. Maybe I should pause here to actually emphasize what I mean by personality. Most of the time, some individuals tend to see themselves as their person, as the person. But the person is not the true representation of who we are in the real self. In terms of reality, we are more of our soul than a person. The soul is the one that is embedded in our personality. the personality is made up of one, our mental self, our emotional self, and then our physical self. So we are more like a triune entity. The mental, the emotional, and also the physical. And the interaction between these three is critical. If we do not have a synchronizing relationship, if we do not have an interrelationship that is harmonious, then we begin to experience a kind of dis-ease. We do not actually perpetuate the kind of internal peace that we want. Oftentimes, we find our emotional self being at loggerhead with our mental self. Mentally, we do know what is appropriate for us to do, but suddenly we find ourselves doing something that is totally contrary to what we know mentally as the appropriate thing to do. Somehow, because we have not achieved a kind of emotional sublimation or a kind of emotional regulation to the point that our emotion is more or less purified, if I may use the word, such that it can give our mental self the preeminence, and such that we can actually act as a soulful personality in the things that we do. That's what I mean by attaining the integrated personality status. The personality of the individual, as I explained, is made up of the mental, the emotional, and also the physical. So when we harmonize these three, no conflict between the mental and the emotional, no conflict between the emotional and the physical, no conflict between the physical and the mental. So the three are actually resonating with one another. Then it's at that point in time that we achieve so much of peace. When they are not resonating with one another, as a matter of fact, we are building the foundation for mental health challenges. Actually, that in a nutshell is the reason why today we have the challenge of mental health that is confronting quite many of us. Some of us, even at different stages of our development in life, we are still battling with some of these aspects of mental health. So I love to start this type of talk leveraging on that age-old ideological and philosophical injunction. Man, know thyself. When you know thyself as actually being the soul, then you must know the self. That takes us to understanding the physiology of our being, to understand the fact that we are first and foremost a soul that is embedded in our physical body, and the physical body is part of the vehicle of response, or the response vehicle that the soul used in expressing intent on Earth planet. So we must therefore find a way of healing all wounds by reconciling contrariness in these three aspects of our being. We must also become more conscious of what I've tagged as the sacrificial service. That is, when you know what is the soulful intent of your being, when you know who you are, when you know what your calling is, when you know the reason for your being, when you know your mission here on Earth planet, then you will begin to recognize that to fulfill your mission, it requires a kind of service. And this service is sacrificial. Why is it sacrificial? It's sacrificial because you are more or less bringing the unruly emotional nature that you have always listened to, that you have always enjoyed its direction in terms of pleasure, in terms of diverse expressions of desire. You are now bringing a kind of regulation to it and taming it to behave such that you can actually yield yourself more to the soulful aspect, and your will be in sync, if I may put it inverted comma, open and close, with the divine will. That is the very reason why God has created you and you are here on earth. For me, I believe that enterprises that we have been creating to become enterprising implies that we are undertaking the very will of our maker and our own individual will is brought to subjection so that that will be the overruling or overriding will. That's why in most of the scriptures that we know, we have always been hearing, not my will, but your will be done. It is only when that will is the will that is superimposed upon our own individual wills that we are actually doing that which is right. We might do whatever we intend based on our own desire and our intention. So our little will, therefore, somehow might find itself diverging away from that very will. And that very will is rooted in the plan and purpose of the reason why the act itself is existing. So when you begin to discipline your emotional self so that it can curtail its unbridled appetite for pleasure, for different types of desires that are not in sync with that ultimate will, which is the will for the reason why the act is in existence, it caused us to go through a kind of sacrifice. We sacrifice those appetites and then we yield ourselves to the service of the overriding will. So moving from that, I think that's actually the first discipline that anyone who truly wants to walk the path of emotional intelligence must understand. Because I've discovered that these days, many takes emotional intelligence and then the idea itself is distorted, is given a kind of personal coloring in order to justify their unbridled appetites, in order to continue to saturate themselves in those individual longings that are actually not in the interest of all. So by that sacrificial service, we are therefore taking upon ourselves a kind of group identity. A kind of group identity where that which is personal to us is actually allowed as a sacrifice to go. And then we pick the identity of the whole. So we become more holistic. We become more inclusive through group identity. You have your own individual identity. But when you come, therefore, to partake of what is happening to the group, when you come into the collective, when you come to relate with others for a common goal and a common purpose, then you have to take on the identity of the whole, of the greater whole. Most of us here, we already have our businesses. You have your plans, you have your purpose. Anyone who comes into that, including you, who is the owner of the business, you are already saying, my identity is the purpose of this business, that this business is going to serve. And usually, I'm fond of saying that it's just to reflect the higher glory of our maker. Whatever business you are going into is to reflect the presence of a higher glory, because deep down from your identity, with the purpose that your maker has brought to your understanding, you are simply saying that it is his will that will reign supreme. So it's a glory to be manifested. You begin to now say, those things that used to be personal to me, I bring them to subjection. I bring them to subjugation. And I allow that which is in the best interest of all to take preeminence. And then the other aspect of this sacrifice is group efficacy. That is, as a group, when we come together, all forms of conflicts, all forms of contrariness, we learn, we discipline ourselves to a point where they are reconciled, a kind of harmony through the conflict that may be, such that we can relate in oneness with one another and we can pursue the goal in a more efficacious way. And then the third one here, which is, in my opinion, the scarcest commodity of our time, trust. These days, it's so difficult to see trust in the real sense of the word trust. We put our confidence, believing in others, believing that so and so person, based on what I know of him, this is what he or she will do, or this is what is expected of others. But these are easily betrayed these days. Like is a common saying, they said the truth is always falling down in the marketplace. We cannot even trust what so many claims are being made with respect to goods and services anymore. And there is something that is the culprit for this. As we progress, I will try and emphasize on that which is responsible for eroding trust in our society. So I always say that let us find a way of giving ourselves some kind of guardrails, some kind of guide rails. We have spoken about the personality, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. So how can I use this triune entity, a vehicle of response or a response vehicle? How am I to be guided in using my life energy through this personality? How can I bring my personality to a point where it is serving the greater purpose? As I've emphasized earlier on, the culprit is actually the emotional aspect. And why this is so, if we have time, I will emphasize on it. The guide rail that I'm proposing here is these three. I call it the GTB principle. That which is good, that which is the truth, and that which is beautiful. That which is good, that which is the truth, and that which is the beautiful. If these three are actually rooted in our thoughts, in our feelings, and also in our actions, I want to believe that we will be fulfilling the call of authentic salutary leadership. We will be using our business for the very purpose for which the idea in the first instance was dropped into our inner being, and we have the gifts and the talents to apply our energy in the direction of the business that we have selected. Seeking for that which is good, seeking for that which will express the truth, and then manifest beauty. When you look at these three, you will see that the three of them are always emerging and evolving. There is no limit to that which is good. The truth itself is infinite in its description, and that which is beautiful is always emerging in a new way. And if you study nature, you discover that nature is the expert of revealing beauty, and it's not an instantaneous revelation. It's always a progressive manifestation. I always remember looking at the butterfly, and sometimes I wonder how something that looked so ugly, so repulsive at its initial stage of manifestation in the form of a caterpillar, how ultimately it can now become such a beautiful manifestation that the color combination, the role they even play in the society, we cannot rubbish. So, and that is the natural pathway of actually making life beautiful. So if we can begin to now condition our minds in such a way that our thoughts and our feelings and our actions are riveted on that which is good, thoughts, feelings, and actions riveted on that which demonstrates the truth, ultimately we will have, as an effect of that which is the cause that I have described, good, truth, and beauty, we shall have the manifestation of beauty. And so I tag this as the currency of goodness. If you look at that which is good, the higher level to that which is good is what we call the better. Some people now say good, better, and best. From the perspective of intelligence, no one on earth should begin to assume that he or she has attained her best. Because if you have achieved your best, it's rather better to die and go to heaven. But as long as you still have the life element in you, what I think it requires each and every one of us to do is to ensure that we bring in new knowledge, new understanding. We expand our consciousness. We actually pursue a higher understanding of awareness such that we can use that which is better and therefore make that which is better become brighter. That is, the progression therefore is that which is good, that which is better, and that which is brighter. Ultimately, it will become a manifestation of beauty. So the good must be made better, brighter, and beautiful. This is the currency of goodness. And it takes a discipline, a kind of sacrifice, if you want to pursue this currency of goodness so that your life will reflect that currency. It will be a river that is actually presenting goodness. When you, for instance, reflect on the nature of a river, the river is always an abundance of goodness. Wherever it goes, it serves virtually everything it encounters. Is it the mineral kingdom? Is it the plant kingdom? Is it the animal kingdom? Is it the human kingdom? Is it even the more than human kingdom? The river is always a great server. And that must be the reflection of a true entrepreneur. You are not just in this undertaking solely because you have some kind of desires that are not in the ultimate interest of the common good. I have these 7 aspects here that actually will impugn on how we think, how we feel, and how we act, and our capacity to actually pursue that which is good, that which is the truth, and that which is beautiful. The will, as I mentioned earlier on. Next to that is the force of love. And next to that is active intelligence. The will is the purpose and the plan. The will connotes the power that is present for us to act in a more appropriate way. And undergirding that power is the force of love. And love, though it's a phenomenon that is elusive of adequate description, but love primarily is an attraction to the tendency to want to identify, particularly in terms of suffering, so that what you have capacity to do, you will bring it to alleviate suffering. You will prefer solutions based on the innate love capacity that is inside of you. I think it was Khalil Gibran who said that work is love made visible. So when we work, actually, it's because there is that innate capacity in us to love. And then when we act on that innate capacity, we make visible that which is a solution. We provide a solution to different areas of human desire and wants. And then the third one there is active intelligence. Active intelligence, in a simplest form, it is intelligence being applied to all actions. That connotes the need for us to understand what intelligence means. But I think I'll come back to that as we progress. In active intelligence, in short, means adaptability. How do you become malleable to diverse manifestations that you might encounter? How do you become more fluidic, like a river that is flowing? How do you become so agile and not so static, not so concrete, not so rigid, such that you can always adjust yourself? Your vehicle, your response vehicle is capable of responding appropriately. Now, some of us may just say that we know that, but it's one of the most difficult things for even the most accomplished personalities to achieve. And that is the reason why many times most of the accidents that have been happening in the area of technology, application of technology, they have reduced it to what they call human errors. Because our emotional self is such a powerful force in us, and it conditions us. So when we have an idea of how to behave in our head, and that is not in sync with what is in our emotional self, then that conflict will rear its head most of the time, frustrating our ability to actually demonstrate the excellence that we intended to demonstrate. So we must take action, and that action must be intelligently applied by understanding our emotional self, and that energy, the life energy referred to as emotion, is actually regulated, brought to a level of sublimation, so that it can actually allow what has been conceived, the idea that has been conceived, the purpose that we want to serve, to be served in its true sense. And then we have what we call harmony through conflict, and concrete knowledge, devotion, and then ceremonial order. These are more or less subsets of these first three that we have looked at. Actually, harmony through conflict is the aspect that has been enabling humanity to advance and grow. For every conflict that rears its head, you will see the human ingenuity actually finding a point of harmony, finding a point of resolution where there is conflict. But it's interesting that you can't actually have that capacity if you don't have love on the inside of you. Then concrete knowledge is science, is the knowledge that we have gained through years in recent times that enables us to do things based on technology, improve our technology, have breakthroughs in diverse areas, because more than ever before, the capacity to understand what hitherto has been mysterious or mystical in nature is ever increasing. So with this knowledge and the scientific understanding of life, together with the capacity to actually seek harmony through every conflict that we may encounter, we are able to advance individually, advance collectively, and we are able to also ensure the right use of the resources that the Earth planet is affording us. So let's look at the business case for emotional quotient, because I have spent too much time on that, on creating the foundation. Intrapersonal intelligence, that is within the individual. Again, we look at that mental self, emotional self, and also the physical. I think it was Krishnamurti, an Indian sage. He said something. He said, when a man is bereft of intrapersonal harmony, intrapersonal intelligence, that man has become the headquarters for corruption. In the sense that the personality is not integrated. The mental self says, this is what we are going to do. The emotional self says, no, we are going in the other direction. When we look at the extent to which corruption has taken over, some people who hitherto we have always loved to behold as men of integrity, as men who will always stand for that which is good, men who will always stand for that which is the truth, men who will always be able to make life more beautiful. We get disappointed in the sense that one way or the other, they have not taken into consideration this intrapersonal intelligence, where you are able to know who you are in terms of your emotion, where you are able to now manage your behavior in terms of how you manage yourself, that is the life energy in you, such that you can now relate with others, interpersonal intelligence, so that there can be a kind of social harmony, a kind of social capital that we can build up, and also overall to have right relationship. So at the level of our various enterprises, we require self-performance, which will be holistic, and we require, in terms of interpersonal intelligence, people's performance. When we have a group, when we have a team, when we have people that we have brought together to constitute the component parts of an entity, how do we orchestrate the individual energy, that energy of the individual that is coming together now to make a group? How do we orchestrate it? And that is the greatest challenge to leadership. So our leadership is called to bear when we have to now deal with the emotional tendencies, emotional nature of diverse personalities, and how we can now orchestrate them such that their will can now become holistic, integrated into one, and we can wield it in the way that will be productive. I think that's where the concept of staff comes in. You know, we don't use the plural for staff. Different people will come into an entity. We call them the staff of this organization, the staff of that organization. It implies that the objective or the need is to integrate all these individuals to become component parts of one entity that we can wield in such a way that the energetic application of their life will begin to bring about the performance that we expect. That actually is the basis of corporations, of companies, people who have come together. They are accompanying one another to achieve the purpose, to achieve the goal, to bring the plan into implementation. So this actually gives us the business case for emotional quotient. So I say, anyone with a high emotional quotient in leadership will always be capable of improving his or her leadership. It will also enhance teamwork. It will increase retention. It will do for better customer relationship and also effective and efficient conflict resolution. And then we have stronger decision-making capacity. It's amazing the extent to which some of us can't make decisions when that decision is to be made. Whereas some of us are so EQ'd that once a decision has to be made, it's just as if there is a default that will evoke itself in the individual and say, do this, and then we make a choice, we take a decision. But everyone who is capable of addressing these 6 parameters can be seen as having high emotional quotient. So let me ask you, you can answer these questions in your own reflection time. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for growth in your team or in your enterprise with respect to these 6? Improve leadership, enhance teamwork, increase retention, better customer relationship, effective conflict resolution, and stronger decision making. It is known that the major problem with respect to these 6 is where we are not emotionally literate. If we become more and more literate in emotional issues, we will be accentuating our capability with respect to these 6 parameters. So let's go to the framework that our title has afforded us, the triad: clarity, confidence, and connection. That's the framework that actually I have based my discussion on today. You know, when we look at business, what's the primary thing that we look at? We want money, we want profit. So the financial aspect of the business. But now, more than ever before, the thinking is changing that yes, the financial aspect is critical because money is actually a critical manifestation of energy. When energy is concretized, it manifests as money, and which is actually the essential component of finance. That is critical because God himself is the author of money, and he expects us to use it judiciously. My life over the years, as I use it, is expected to actually connect and magnetize financial returns. Your life, as you use it in your various enterprises, is expected to yield a return. It's expected to magnetize something that will come back to you, often as a reward for the effort that you have made, for the way you have used your life energy, for the way you have brought your creativity to bear, for the way you have organized people or other people's energy around you, such that a solution is provided, a need is met, and life, the quality of life is made better for others. So from the financial perspective, therefore, we have to make life better for others, which we call the customer. We call them the customer. Before you can do that, you must have a process in place. And for this process to actually meet the need of the customer, there must be a kind of people orientation. The people in your organization must be capable of learning and growing. That is what I mean by L&G, learning and growing. So the people, through their learning and growing, the understanding and wisdom that they are incubating, they are able to use the process that has been put in place in your business entity, for instance, such that you can create value for the customer. And when the customer is satisfied, you are able to attract to yourself a financial return. So that constitutes the fourfold, the square of business performance. So sometimes I love to call this triad, the triangle within the square. The square, as I've described it now, the financial, customer, the process, then the learning and growth. And this implies that we must have the capacity of accentuating the awareness of the people that constitute the business, the enterprise. The enterprise people must have a high level of awareness so that there can be right relationship. These enterprise people must know who they are, and they must have the ability to regulate their own life energy. That's where self-management comes in. And the self-management, once it's been perfected, can enable the individual to therefore come into social arena, and such that behavior in the social arena will be such that it will enable the very purpose of the business in terms of how it will relate with others in the market, and then be able to capture a financial return. I've attempted to actually bring this square together as a triad: connection with that which is the higher source of life energy, and then connection with the lower form of life expression as personalities. Once we are capable of generating the quality of awareness that we are supposed to have, without understanding, we do not relate based on ignorance. We relate based on understanding, based on knowledge, based on wisdom, such that the very reason for our being is being pursued and attained. So with the connection, we have clarity as to what we are existing for. Clarity of purpose. We have that understanding, and then we are confident that we can accomplish. We can accomplish. I think about 2 years ago, UNESCO asked a question. And the question is this, because the question is still relevant. If you go to their website, you'll see it. It says, what purpose should education serve in the future? What purpose should education serve in the future? You know, the problem is that the kind of education that we receive, or that we have received, is an education that actually equipped us to come into the workplace, to work for the benefit of some others. Most of the time, what do we get? Just enough to keep us going. So education, rather, is supposed to bring a type of liberation, such that that which is innate, that which can be conceived in the individual, we have an opportunity of exploring, or being explored, or expressed, or gain experience, so that there can be expression. Most of the time, the education we receive is just to qualify us as a doctor, so that we can put bread and butter on the table. An engineer, a geologist, a scientist. Education revolves around the art of living. Education is that which equips us and ignites us, stimulates us, so that we can explore that which is waiting to be explored, so that we can gain experience by that exploration, and ultimately we can mature to become who we are supposed to be in life, so that we can express the purpose and the will of the Maker, who wants certain things carried out on this earth planet. When you get to that website, in a nutshell, what it says is learning to become. The concept of learning to become. What are we becoming? We are becoming the advanced individuals that have achieved integrated personality status, so that we can rightly use resources for the benefit and advancement of all that we call humanity, so that we are always progressing to become better. So your business will grow only when it is in that direction. Your business may not be developing if it is not going to ensure the flourishing of life, if it's not going to ensure the individual flourishing, the collective flourishing, the planet flourishing, if your business is to grow, that growth must be channeled in the direction of flourishing. And so, as I've said earlier on, when we look at this triad, it enables us to link this to the personality. Remember, I did mention that the personality is captured in the physical, the emotional, and the mental. I just try to capture some of the physical, practical demonstration of this triune nature of our personality. When we talk about physical, most of the time, what we long for or desire is comfort, sex, and money. Emotional, anger, hate, and ambition. Then the mental, pride, separateness, and then isolated attitude. Ninefold. Most of us will have to learn to actually manage this 9 and let this 9 be committed, be brought to bear in terms of that which is good, that which is the truth, and that which is beautiful, such that our thoughts, our feelings must be that these 9 are being used to actually progress humanity upon the upper spiral of life. It is only you as an individual who can do that for yourself. And what you have about this 9, how you use it in the business that you are creating, will show your intent. And so you will discover that people are able to become the authentic server that they are supposed to be. I didn't say servant, I said servers that they are supposed to be, based on the extent to which they are capable of mastering these 9 parameters. And if this is achievable, we have achieved the integrated personality status. We have what we identify with, and that constitutes our intentionality, which will enable us to perform. Our business will perform in such a way that even the hands that are more than human will reward our performance, and therefore we are developing, we are growing in the direction that we are supposed to grow. Again, this triad is they are observable outcomes of high EQ in a leader. When a leader is clear, when a leader knows the reason for his being, he becomes confident and can connect with the various sources that will usher in the resources that will be required. So when a leader is clear, confident, and connected, he will become actively intelligent. He becomes the authentic leader in action. Clarity will build confidence, and confidence will make it easier to build connection. And that connection will allow for greater clarity and psychological safety. If we actually imbibe this triad, clarity, confidence, and connection, we will discover that we will be revealing glory to glory. It is one level of glory to another level. The lower level will give place to the higher level. Even when the higher level has been achieved, it will become the lower level for the next much higher level to become manifested. And by so doing, we are truly progressing and advancing. So Socrates built on that initial philosophical injunction, man, know thyself. Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Identify your emotions. Therefore, know who you are. Develop what I call emotional literacy. Come out of that old cocoon where most of us feel that emotion is unreasonable. And sometimes when we get ourselves involved in heated discussions, in a dialogue sometimes, when those who really cannot understand the point of view of the other person, the tendency is for them to simply say, let us not be emotional about this matter. Let us face facts. But that is actually a display of ignorance. Because Your emotion, when it is purified, liberates you from reactions. Emotion is what pushes us to react without thinking. But when you have actually come to learn how to intelligently apply your life energy, the emotions, when you release that energy in motion in the direction it should go willingly, following your purpose, then it will achieve not just your own purpose, but the purpose, the greater purpose of the one who created you and gave you the idea and gave you the energy in the first instance to actually use this such that his plan and purpose can be accomplished on our planet. When emotion is distorted, look at the three there. We see fear, we see hate, and we see ambition. We know that fear immobilizes. Hate is terrible. In every sense of it, it is so toxic. It does not only hurt those you are transmitting hate towards, but it's also toxic to the extent that it destroys the individual who is even emitting hateful thoughts or hateful wishes. And ambition. Sometimes when I'm giving this type of talk, people will say, what do I have against ambition? That it is good for people to be ambitious. Ambition is the lowest level of expression of desire. A man will become who he wants to be in life by exhibiting desires. Desire for this, desire for that. But when knowledge comes to desire, when understanding comes into desire, when wisdom comes into desire, desire in the form of ambition is transmuted and it is raised to its octave level of purity, which is what we call aspiration. So we aspire to be more divine in our thinking. We aspire to be more divine in our orientation. We aspire to be more divine in our feelings, the way we feel. When feelings come to us, and sometimes we feel helpless at the manifestation of such feelings, we must have the energy, the power, what we call the willpower, to simply say, no, my energy will not go in the direction of hate. My energy will not go in the direction of fear to inhibit me, but my direction is to actually seek an identity with the source of the right use of energy. And therefore, ambition can be very ruthless. Ambitious people are generally ruthless in the name of competition. When competition is practiced based on ambition, you will see ruthlessness in the market. You will see diverse manifestation of what we call evil. In my own opinion, evil is deviating from that which is the right use of energy to pursue that which is self-centered, to nurture the longings of that individual who is unevolved in the understanding of the greater benefits that life is offering. When you understand life at the higher level, you will not be ambitious. That which comes your way, as long as you are fulfilling the very reason, you are using the talents that God has given to you, you are using the gift that God has given to you, that which you are equipped with, you have equipped yourself also by getting relevant knowledge, by getting the capacity to adjust and not be too concrete, not to become so rigid, to be more like a river, rivers of living water that will be flowing from the inside of you as your orientation is to actually rightly apply your emotions. So you are a master of selflessness, you are a master of harmlessness, and all your speech and your thinking at all times is devoid of hate. When you begin to take even just these three parameters, you begin to actually internalize them as the modicum of your truth for life. You become better on a daily basis. So we have to identify how our emotion drives us. Why do we become so fearful? Becoming so fearful where there is nothing to fear. So confidence wanes for many of us because fear rears its head. So the question is, do you have a clarity of who truly you are? Man, know thyself. We must learn to expand our emotional vocabulary beyond that which is mad, sad, glad, irritation, toxicity. Let us understand those events, those things that will actually trigger these emotional aspects in us, which when they are triggered is just a feedback to us that there is an aspect in you that you have not taken cognizance of, that requires attention so that you can identify yourself with that which is the right person that you are supposed to be. And sometimes people talk about righteousness. So I asked the question sometimes ago, is there a lefteousness? Is there a lefteousness? So you are right. When your energy, when it wants to lead you in the direction that is not in sync with the direction of the purpose and plan, which is discerned by the thinking people of our society. And when you are able to actually join the lines of thought of the thinking people, you reinforce the capacity for that which is good, that currency of goodness to flow like a river. So when events trigger the negative in respect of your direction, you must have the willpower to pull back yourself from that direction, to simply say, this is the way to go. That is not the way to go. It might be difficult ab initio because of the sacrificial element. It might be a fiery expression because of the sacrificial element. But if you submit yourself to that fiery expression, you allow yourself to become a living sacrifice so that you become the better person that you can do. And that energy which takes you to the other direction can always be devitalized. But when you begin to perpetuate and you begin to satiate yourself in the ambition and in the low level saturation of pleasure and sensuality, you discover that that person is held captive, more or less. Even when the mental self is saying, this is the right thing to do, you say, well, it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying myself. So there is the need for us, therefore, to understand that our emotional self is perhaps the greatest force that God has planted in us. And it is based on you recognizing what the right use of emotion is and not allow it to discolor the very purpose, to distort the very purpose of your existence. And the choice is actually yours as an individual. So what purpose is your business serving? I like to suggest most of the time, let it be a divine enterprise that is facilitating human flourishing. So we need to assess our strengths. You have to assess who you are. Where does your emotional quotient shine? That is, when you have come to know the nature of people, you have come to know the nature of the situation you find yourself in and the events that are actually evoking reactions in you. You have to learn to be delivered. I don't want to use the word deliver, to actually devitalize reactions and then learn to respond. When you respond in an appropriate way, you are further energized to keep that response now in the righteous way and not in the lefteous way. Inverted comma, open and close. Forgive me for using the word lefteous. Assess your strengths, therefore, so that you understand where your emotional quotient shines, and then understand your emotional blind spots. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I know that there is a business thinking in some people that when they discover their weaknesses, they are supposed to spend time to change their weaknesses into strength. I belong to a different school of thought. In my own opinion, oftentimes what is a weakness, you cannot really change it. If something is a weakness, there must be a corresponding strength in something else. Understand what you have strength in and spend more of your life energy pursuing your area of strength. The energy you use in trying to convert your weakness to strength, if you use that same energy in furthering yourself in the area of your strength, will bring you out as an excellent person. Even if you succeed in converting your weakness to strength, you will just be an average person. You can't excel pursuing life based on your weaknesses. You cannot. So let's focus on those areas that will cause our emotional quotient to shine. So in your spare time, I try to put this as a kind of activity. So when you get this material, you can do this on your own. Let's have a short reflection. You can do it as we proceed, but you get this later. Let's just have a short reflection. Identify certain triggers, and then the feelings that were evoked in you, and then what was your automatic response? Think of a recent, mildly stressful situation that you encountered. Identify the trigger. What specifically happened? For example, you received an urgent last-minute request that upsets you, throwing you out of balance. It becomes a trigger. Then what emotion did you feel? You're feeling. Try and be specific. Did it make you anxious? Were you pressured? Were you irritated? Identify. You can put it in that table. Then what was your automatic response? What was your immediate reaction? For instance, did you immediately say yes without thinking? Or you felt your shoulders tense up? Look at and recall exactly how you responded. Let me give you about two minutes to look at this. Try this on your own. Think of a recent mildly stressful situation. Identify the trigger. What feeling or feelings were evoked? And then what was your default reaction or response?
Thank you, sir. Doctor, we have 15 more minutes, sir.
I have 15 more minutes, so we can't take this as an activity. Let's move on. In your spare time, when you reflect on this, you can take it up. Understanding others. Social awareness. How do you connect with others? First thing we need to understand is that empathy is not agreeing. It is rather understanding. Listen to understand, not to reply. That's what I observe sometimes, even in me. When someone is discussing or reporting or giving me a feedback, I'm not even listening sometimes. I'm only jarring myself up to give him a reply. So the question is, are you truly hearing others when they are talking? Or you are just waiting for your turn to speak? Also, in terms of social awareness, let us learn to read the room. When your staff, your colleagues in the office, when they come around, try and pay attention to the non-verbal cues, the body language, the tone of the voice. What is the unspoken message? Identify it. There is that faculty in each and every one of us. God himself equipped us to be able to discern. And then the other aspect here under social awareness is perspective taking. What might this look like from their own point of view? Before you make a comment, before you make a statement, you must ask the question deep down inside of you. What will it be? How will it look like from these people's perspective? What might this look like from their own point of view? Building bridges, also a key pillar of emotional intelligence. Relationship management. If you look at that icon there, It shows people working together in order to build something. What it implies is that we must learn to turn our awareness into skillful action, communicate with impact. We should be assertive, but we do not necessarily have to be aggressive. We should be clear and not confusing. We should be more open. Sometimes people misinterpret their status, their office, as an opportunity to impose their view and then relegate the views of others, perhaps because they are even junior on the ladder of the hierarchy, as if they are totally irrelevant. Whereas studies have shown that most of the time, it's the feedback from that lower rung of the ladder of the hierarchy that feeds the higher rungs of the ladder with the critical information that is needed to make a more holistic decision. Let's learn to manage conflict constructively. Focus on the problem. Do not focus on the person. Seek win-win solutions. Let's learn to inspire and influence. Let's connect people's work to a larger purpose. Let us learn to lead by example. Again, let's go back to this thoughts, feelings, and action. For me, emotional intelligence revolves around this. The quality of your thinking, the quality of your feelings, the quality of your actions. Your emotion, your intellectual quotient, plus your technical competence, when compounded with your emotional quotient, will result in maximized human potential. So we can conclude and say that emotion actually makes the difference. Where we want to be, what is the goal of this talk? Emotional quotient, as a measure of emotional intelligence, refers to emotional management skills, which provide competence to balance emotions and reason so as to maximize long-term effectiveness and happiness. So let's take our thinking part and take our feeling part and bring them together to constitute the basis of our emotional quotient. And let our emotional quotient at all times guide our actions. So what you want to get from emotional intelligence, therefore, is knowing how you feel about others, knowing how others feel about you. Use your emotional skills that will maximize your well-being and happiness and those who you interact with. Again, your IQ, because sometimes the knowledge based on our IQ sometimes gets us puffed up. Technical competence may sometimes bring arrogance in service. But when you are able to compound these two with your emotional quotient, you will enhance your performance potential. Look at this drawing, this seedling. The roots represent the values, and the leaves represent the behaviors. In order to create an emotional quotient-driven culture in your enterprise, understand that it starts with you, but it grows with everyone. It starts with you as the center, as the one occupying the corridor of authority, as the one giving direction. But it will require everyone to come into it, that understanding, so that the behavior can be grown together. Leaders will always model the way. Your team is watching. Your emotional quotient sets the tone. Embedded in practices, you must learn to hire for EQ. Gone are the days where you just hire based on their IQ. Include it in performance reviews, and then learn to reward empathetic behavior. Foster psychological safety. Create an environment where it is safe to speak up. Encourage people to take risks. You yourself must also learn to relate rightly with risk. Be vulnerable without fear of punishment. A question you may ask yourself here is, what is one specific action you could take this week to contribute to a more psychological safe environment for your team or in your organization? Develop your own personal emotional quotient action plan. Where do you plan to start? your area of focus, list it. What are the steps you will likely take? Determine your success matrix. Let me say that becoming more emotionally intelligent implies that you will set yourself on a self-directed learning process. And as UNESCO said, learning to become. And that there are 4 pillars of education. You must learn to know. You must learn to be. You must learn to act. And you must learn to work together with others. That is the basis of learning to become emotionally intelligent. Thank you for your patience. I do hope that I have been able to share something and upgrade or uplift your understanding of emotional intention. Thank you very much.
Wow. I can see hands going out in the chat room. Thank you, Doctor. This is a lot. While I'm still trying to process one, another one is coming. Thank you so much. We're indeed very grateful for the wealth of experience and how you have brought it across in such a way that it is relevant to our personal life, business, family, marriage. And if there is one thing, I took out of this, is to become more integrated in all that I do. That sense of oneness. As you were speaking, what was coming to my mind was the fact that there are so many things we put at the doorstep of other people. We hold other people responsible for, and we think that they should bear certain consequence of some things that happen in running our enterprise, especially the concept of staff. The way you brought it across, I mean, I see everything more at the doorstep of the leader, which starts with the foundation of the value that you build into the business and what you model. And oftentimes, we don't take time to think about how people experience us. While you were talking, so using myself as an example, sometimes I have an opinion of myself, and I think that this is what I am communicating. But except when I'm really very open and authentic, and I pause my thinking or the evaluation of myself at that particular time, that's when I can truly understand, what people are taking out of what I'm saying. So starting with, why do we do what we do? Somebody sent me a private question and the person said, you have said so much about the divine purpose. What I can make, the person said, I can decide to seize upon opportunity, business opportunity that I come across, which does not necessarily mean it's my idea. How does that serve a divine purpose in terms of how you have explained clarity and understanding where we put our will? So over to you, Doctor. Seizing upon opportunities. So the person said, how do we tie it into divine purpose?
Thank you very much. I don't want to sound puritanical, but I always feel that sometimes many of us, we get ourselves entangled in what we don't have capacity for. But it becomes so attractive to us, and we develop eyes that are too big for our stomach. So much reward is promised, you can get this job. We have seen so many business offers, especially in the financial industry. You remember those days where different kinds of offers were made, brings this much, you get 300% upfront, and then before you know what is happening, you don't have your principal. There's no guarantee of you even ever getting back your money. So many people lost their lives by so doing. My own proposition in terms of wellness And I want the sister to go and research the meaning of the word flourish again. You know, when we are talking about human flourishing, there are about 5 parameters that are critical. The first one is wellness. 2, your life becoming meaningful. If something, an offer in terms of you get more money or you get this return comes to you, I think the first question you should ask is, does it resonate with the reason for my being? What meaning does it have in my life? If it does not resonate, if it is not the business for which you have been created for, I think it's a sacrifice that you have to make. It might be so huge, you might feel as if you are losing, but you can simply walk away. There are others who simply say, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Others will go into it, they will make so much. And I think it's the error of us believing that you are only prosperous when physical things, material things are increasing in their quantity. I don't think that is true. I think it takes time to research into flourishing, and you will see the parameters for flourishing. You see that the 6th element for flourishing is financial stability. It didn't say you should become such a wealthy individual financially that you will now stockpile money. Money is energy, which is expected to flow like a river will flow. If you now simply warehouse energy and you do not allow it to flow as
currency.
Oh, sorry. All right. I'm talking to
No, I heard this. I said currency. No, I'm aligning with what you're saying, sir.
Right.
That the word that comes is currency, as you were saying
Exactly.
it. Yeah, that is a current.
Yes. So it's critical for us to know, to have an insight into these things. And my proposition, most of the time, is to ask yourself, who is my teacher? Who is my master? Who is my Lord? Who is the one that I have to account for? And then ask the question, will my teacher do this? Will my master do this? Will the one who gives direction for my life, will he approve of what I'm about to do? I think your conscience should be able to answer that question. Thank you. I hope I've made some sense.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, yes, sir. All right, please let our questions come in. It's question time, please. Okay, I think people are making a lot of comments from what you have shared, a lot of depth. Okay, sir. You talked about healing wounds, purifying our emotion. You talk about healing wounds and getting rid of contrariness. Now, to what degree can one come to terms with, I mean, I may have wounds and I don't know, maybe from my childhood experience. So practically, sir, how can one, identify these wounds, and how can you go through healing so that you are better emotionally when you were talking about purification?
Well, you see, I always feel that when the wound you have internalized, when it is not yet time for it to be healed, it won't rear its head, but it will be conditioning your behavior. It will condition your bias, your prejudice, your bitterness, but you may not pay any attention to it. But the time will come when you say, I want to become a better person that I believe I'm created to be. You will begin to sense these things. They will rear their heads in you. And it's the extent to which you are sensitive that will determine whether or not you want to continue in that or you want to do away with it. If we go the religious way, we have the helper. That's the Spirit of God in us that will help us. The Holy Spirit is our helper. We can reach out to him for help, but do not forget the fact that oftentimes it's your choice that will even enable the helper to help you. So you must also have your own coping strategy to say, I will no longer yield myself to this. And it is the strength and quality of that choice, that decision that you have made that will enable other forces around you to help you. So oftentimes, our dirty nature, our lowly nature, they rear their heads so that we can pay attention to what we have to get rid of, so that we can become more holistic and more united as an integrated person. Because that aspect of being holistic and becoming an integrated person is the basis of our integrity in life. If you are fragmented, if you are in different fragments, you have a part of you saying that is the way to go. No, that is the other way to go. You know, when we talk about fractions, the opposite of that which is fragmented is that which is whole. And that which is whole is the basis of holiness. So you have to work out your own holiness, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling to be sure that you are truly in a state of at oneness with the principles, with the values that you have accepted as given by your teacher, the teacher that is dwelling on the inside of you, enthroned in your heart by the faith that you proclaim. I hope I'm...
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Doctor. So that means that I have to be open to feedbacks.
Exactly.
And the moment, yeah, for me to actually be able to come to terms with those things that people are saying. All right. I think that answers Mojisola Oyewale's question. She said, how do I heal wounds from an authority figure point of view as the boss, parent, spouse, etc.? Which I think what you have explained now, it's an answer to that. Okay, you talked about the fact that the concept of staff, which I think most times when we conduct our survey, is one of the areas where entrepreneurs have issue when we're trying to scale up and now we're getting a lot of people into the organization. I picked something very strong from what you said. You said we should recruit for EQ. And I don't know how, what are the practical steps in which you can guide us in recruit, because most times it's always the IQ we're looking for. And even HR practitioners have seen that people can play to the gallery. So what are your suggestions as entrepreneurs when we're getting people into our team? And when we're scaling and we need people, of course, we need people with technical skills too. So how do we get a balance?
You see, I think HR people are always talking about soft skills. I believe they always come up with the soft skills test. But there is a faculty that God has placed in every one of us as leaders. And that is the ability to sense. You see, if you are not biased, if you have purged yourself of that which are afflictive emotions, if you have purged yourself, your sensing will always be what is rooted in you intuitively, what you should know intuitively. You see, as human beings, we have developed and progressed from instinct. We used to do things instinctively. Then we progress into intellect. That is the era that most of us are now. Intellect. We are intellectual personalities where facts are ruling. But we are now moving. We are beginning to see more and more people who are intuitive. And you know, intuition is pure knowledge. So when you develop your emotional capacity to be more intuitive, that means you have achieved emotional sublimation. So the negativity that are actually concretizing your emotions, you have dealt with them. Then you receive intuitive understanding as signals. You sense them. Forgive me if I'm becoming too elaborate on that, because I have come to understand that the other name for God is presence. To presence. You presence. Is the God nature in you that is telling you that this is what this person will be. This is what will happen. So we need to develop our capacity for intuition. If you are developing and growing, and your capacity for intuition is growing, and you are suppressing it because you are so rooted in intellectual, analytical processing, then you don't allow your intuition to come to the fray. Bring the three together. Bring the three together so that you can actually make more robust, intelligent decisions. You don't become intelligent because you are intellectually oriented. Let me know. That's another topic that we can treat some other day. But the error of most of it is that we feel that intellect is synonymous with intelligence. They are not. Intelligence subsumes all, and intellect is just an aspect of intelligence.
Awesome. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
I want to ask, is it possible for us, just like lawyers will say ab initio, for us in going into a business, can we know from the takeoff whether we have strength to be able to run that kind of business? Because sometimes from the beginning, maybe as a startup or someone who is just trying to learn the ropes, we don't know what it takes. Is when we start running the business, putting processes together, that the demands of there is now a conflict between who we are and the demands of the business. So how can we know whether this kind of business is suitable for our personality or our strength, and how can we understand the intricacies of knowing that our weaknesses is not going to help us in this direction?
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you. There is a storm. Okay. A storm that is just coming down forcefully here. Okay, now can you repeat yourself, please?
Okay, I'm trying to say that how can we evaluate the demand of running an enterprise vis-a-vis understanding our strength and our weakness?
Well, I just gave you a clue with my concept of pre-sensing. Pre-sensing. And that is why you cannot just rush. Emotion is that when it is not processed, when it's not purified, it pushes you into action. When you are supposed to take time and reflect over, it is in your reflection that you will begin to hear the small, still voice that will be saying, this is critical. Do not do that. And I want to believe that as long as you are imbibing understanding and you are not solely basing your actions on knowledge, you see, knowledge is a lower aspect of understanding. In fact, is the lowest aspect of wisdom. It is your duty to learn, to take your knowledge to a higher level, which is understanding. And I love the word understanding. Something that will stand under your standing so that you can remain standing. When we have knowledge and we rush into action, that is an emotional rushing into fire that we burn, and then we now learn lessons we ought to have anticipated. I hope I'm making some sense. We get entangled in that which we ought to have avoided. But there is no problem, because pain is also good, and pain is a good teacher. So when you have been burnt and you have been caused some pain, you come back to your senses. You understand? We have those 5 senses physically, but let us prepare ourselves to learn to be more intuitive. And the hallmark, as far as I know, of a truly intelligent person is the capacity to remain calm and not allow anything to push you, urge you to act without an inner witness based on your intuitive understanding of the direction to go. Many of us, we are too much in a hurry, and we are in a hurry because we have appetite for things we should not have an appetite for. And I think the tendency to want to make profit and maximize it pushes many of us into activities that we should have avoided. And that's why I'm proposing a more excellent way, if I may say, pursue that which will bring your flourishing. So let us individually go back and understand what it means to flourish. I believe that Harvard Business School has just opened a new program which they call human flourishing. And a lot of research is going on for years now on human flourishing. If you are going into business because you want to bring about the flourishing of the individual, the flourishing of your environment, I believe you are doing that, which is aiding the plan of God to be made manifest on earth.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you, Doctor. I think that is strong. So we'll pursue flourishing. I think that is what we stand for as an organization. And that resonates so much, with our group value code. And so on that note, I will want to end with one of the statements that Doctor mentioned today. He says, when energy is concretized, it becomes money. I said it magnetizes money. And so what we should pursue is actually managing our energy level for higher effectiveness, and it is guaranteed that profit will come. On that note, we want to say thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for the depth of insight that you have shared with us today. And I know that we are becoming better people. We're becoming better entrepreneurs, running divinely orchestrated enterprises. And you will sure hear our testimonies. Thank you so much.
Thank
On
you very
this
much.
note, thank you, sir. I'll be
Bye-bye.
handing over to the General Manager,
Okay.
Dr. Bukola Adewakon, for other information before we call it a day. Thank you.
Wow.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good
Good
to see
evening, sir. This has been so good to see you, too, sir.
Thank you
That's
very much.
been so awesome. Thank you. We really appreciate you. It's been a fantastic time with you this
Thank you.
evening. Awesome. Thank you. There was so much to learn. I've been writing, and I have to sit down again to listen to all that you have taught us today. It's
Thank
been
you.
great. Thank you. God bless you, sir. We really appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you that anytime we call, you always answer us. And so we are really
It's a real
grateful
pleasure
for
to be of
that.
service. It is my dream.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, class, everyone, I'm sure today is another day of reflection. You need to go back and sit down and rethink again and see how all this, there were so many calculations that you need to do, so much permutations. Yes. Don't worry. We will share the slides so that you can actually sit down with them with it, and make sure you do it. The special place for the self-reflection, please ensure that you take it, and it will really help you. I'm sure all of us, I am going to sit down with it and work on it and make sure that I put in all my triggers, because as he was saying that, I wanted to type in that some of the what's the reaction that it will elicit in you. I wanted to say anger, because I still had one this morning. So I know that this will help all of us to get better. So thank you so much, sir. We are grateful. So to the class, our class continues to next week, Thursday. That's week 8. Are you excited? 8 weeks. Wow. We've done 7 now. Week 8. Awesome. God has helped us. Every week we are showing up. And God has been good. He has been faithful. And I'm sure all of you, you've learned so much. All the links that TDA sent us last week, I hope you have engaged it. For those of you that it will help, please don't miss out on all this information. Make sure that you use them and it will lead you into greater heights in your business in the mighty name of Jesus. As regards the week 8, next week is going to be another banger. You know, as this one is a banger, every week has been double bangers. So we are expecting another double banger next week. And what will happen next week is we have someone that is coming from BOI that will speak to us about all the available opportunities for each of our industries. You know, we are next week is our industry-based program. Next week is our industry-based program. So someone is coming and she will be speaking to us about all our industries, about all the opportunities that are available. Then from there, we will now go into a breakout session where we want to get to do like a meet and greet and then start discussion on what is happening in each of our various industries. Remember, we said that if you have not filled the actual form for the Shimin business, where we asked about your industry, then that means we won't be able to put you in rooms next week. So if you require that, we will share it in the group. If you are not on the group, please ensure you contact one of us so that we can put you in a group, in our group, and so that you can get all the information that will be shared. So thank you for your time. Today has been a time well spent, a full 2 hours today. And I'm sure that, you know, you will go back and sit and, you know, you'll be rethinking. Money flows. It is that your energy. That
Yes.
energy that you are challenging, that is what is attracting the money. So
Don't waste it.
don't waste it. And you too, you'll be thinking, where am I channeling this energy to? Let it be the right place. And God will help us in Jesus' name. So thank you, everyone. Good night. Let's have a very fantastic evening. Thank you so much, BO, for the great coordination. It's been fantastic here. Awesome, awesome. Thank you all. And let's have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, no poll. There's supposed to be poll, but unfortunately, let me see. Yeah, let me see if it will come up here because oh, yes. Thank you. That person is so fantastic, right? Yes. It is up. I hope you can see it. Please, can anyone see it? Can you confirm that you can see the poll?
Not yet.
Can you see the poll? If you can see the poll, please. Okay. No, maybe you can't see it yet. Okay.
Okay, yeah. We can see it now.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Please let's quickly fill out the poll. Let's quickly fill it before we leave. Yes. Thank you. Fill it and then type done in the chat room. And then you can have a lovely, that's when you can go and sleep. Sleep on this. As you are sleeping, you will be hearing doctor's voice. Yes, because you need to reprocess everything that has been said. It's just questions. Let's quickly fill the poll. Yes, the poll is going on well. We are on 75% already. That's great. Please, let's feel it, feel it, feel it. Let's feel the poll. 83%, yes. We're almost done. Let's feel the poll. Yes, 90% now. That's great. Thank you, everyone. Yes, this insight is great. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Let's keep it coming. Oh, thank you. It's now 100%. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yes. And this has been very useful to everybody. It's been absolute, and Doctor's insight has been great. Thank you. So thank you all. Let's have a fantastic evening. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.